I've updated SAM2, SAM3, and EnfuseSimple. So today I will show you what's new and how you can make the update. So if that sounds good for you, let's go. Okay, so let's start with SAM2. So the first improvements I made are in the graphical interface. So if I open it, so the first change I made is with the model's name. So now you see the real name instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, I've added a status bar right there. So now you see it's written ready, meaning everything is fine. When you're generating a mask, you will see different messages there. And if you have errors, you will see it as well. Next, not all features were available for all of the modes. So what I've done is if, for example, you select point segmentation, you see you have some fields that are disabled. So by doing that, you know that if you select point segmentation, you don't have access to the number of masks and things like that. So the next feature I've added is raw file support. So this is a new feature for SAM2 and SAM3. So if, for example, I go there and I select a raw file, I will be able to generate a mask. But one thing you should note is raw files are bigger, so you need a lot of VRAM when you want to do that. So if, for example, I try it now in my virtual machine, it won't work because I won't have enough RAM to process it. So again, this feature was added to SAM2 and SAM3. So now with both, you should be able to do that. And the last feature I've added is the final file name. So if I show you an example, so now I generated a mask and you see the mask file name as the timestamp. So before, when you were using SAM2, it was overwriting old mask. So now it won't do that anymore because all of them have timestamps. There is one last thing I forgot to mention. So when generating a mask, we open a small window. And there was an issue with the bug segmentation. So when the window was small, we were not able to draw a box. So you had to make the window full screen in order to see the box you were drawing. But one of our Darktable brother decided to work on it. He modified the code a little bit, sent it to me on GitHub, and now I merge it with the main program. So as you can see right now, we are able to draw a box even if the window is very, very small. So now let's look at the plugin. Now SAM2 should have the same feature as SAM3. So if, for example, I open a picture and I go to the settings menu, you can see we now have a field where we can select the folder where the mask will be saved. So when you select nothing, it will be saved alongside the original picture. Otherwise, you can decide where you want the mask to be saved. You also have a new checkbox. So when it's enabled, it means it will disable some modules before generating the mask. So before, when you had a picture in portrait orientation, the final mask wasn't in the right orientation. So what I have to do is I disable some module before generating the mask, making sure the final mask is the right size and orientation as the original picture. So if, for example, we do an example. So if now I click on Generate Mask, you will see the picture is rotated. Now I can click there to generate my mask, and then it goes back to normal. So now if I open the external raster mask module and I search for my picture, for my mask, sorry. So now you can see my mask is perfect even if the picture was in portrait orientation. And the last thing I've done for both SAM2 and SAM3 is that before there were not much messages, so you couldn't know what was happening in the background. But now there are more messages. So if you have an issue, if there is an error, you should see a small text pop up telling you what's happening. So now let's look at the EnfuseSimple plugin. So on Linux, everything was working perfectly. But on Windows, there were still a few issues, and I believe I fixed them. So the first issue was when you add space in the file path. So if, for example, you have a folder named Amazing Space Vacation, then it wasn't working properly. But now I fix it and it should be working. Another problem is if you add non-English characters. So when, for example, you have a sign like this, you often have in French or Spanish, then the script would fail. Now it's still failing, but at least you get an error message telling you it didn't work. Next, the last change I did is in the preferences. So if you open the Darktable preferences and you go to Lua option, you will see right there you have the binary path for align image tag, and you have it for Enfuse as well. So instead of using the setting menu in the plugin itself, you can go in Darktable preferences to set the binary path. Okay, so now let's go with the SAM2 and SAM3 tools update. So we will do the update on Linux Mint because that's the best operating system, but it's the same steps if you are on macOS or Windows. So you just have to go to a different installation folder. So I will put some text on the screen so you know where you have to go to do the update. So on Linux, if you've installed it with the installation script, the application will be installed in your .local/opt. So we have to go there to do the update. So you open your terminal and then you type cd for change directory .local -opt. And there you will have SAM2 or SAM3 tools. For this example, we will update SAM2 tools. So I will type SAM2 tools and we will go there. So if you do ls, you can see we have all the files required for SAM2. So now all I have to do is git pull, and then it will download the new files. Next, I need to do uv pip install -r requirements.txt. So what this will do is it will install all of the dependencies. So the first time you ran the script, it did install all of the dependencies, but to add the raw support, I had to add some dependencies, so that's why you have to reinstall them. So then when you have that command, you press enter, and that's it, it installed everything. So I believe the dependencies were already on my system, so that's why it was very fast. Now you can try it. So if I type SAM2-tools, whoops. So that's it. We have our new window. So I see I have my status bar right there. If let's say I select points, I can see some features are disabled, meaning the update was successfully, and I'm running the new code. So now let's say we want to upgrade the plugin. So I will show you one small thing. So if I open Darktable, so in Darktable, in the Lua script manager, there is a place named install update script. And from there, you can select Lua script or custom, and there is a button named update script. So when I try it, I didn't feel like if it was working, so I don't recommend using it. So I don't know if this is a bug or this is not supposed to update the script. So instead, what you should do is to update it from the terminal. So you need to go to the Lua script folder in the Darktable configuration folder. So you do cd, you need to go to your home directory, Lua, and there if you use the installation script for SAM2 or SAM3, the script will be in custom like this. So if then I do ls, you will see everything is there. So again, once you're there, you do git pull, and then as you can see right now, it downloaded the SAM2 and SAM3.lua, meaning that the update was successful. So now you can restart Darktable. So I'm gonna close this and open Darktable again. So now make sure the script you want to use are enabled. So in my case, SAM2 is enabled right there. So the first thing you have to do is to go to preferences, then you go to Lua options, and there you see you have a SAM2 binary path, which is already set. That's fine. You have SAM2 mask output folder. So if you want to save the mask in a specific folder, you need to set it there. Also, you have something called SAM2 disable modules. You need to enable that. So what this does is when you generate a mask, it will automatically disable the orientation cropping module, making sure the mask will fit your image. If you don't want to use the mask output folder, what you have to do is you click there, you open a picture, and you go to the SAM2 settings menu. And from there, make sure you click on Reset Mask Folder. So as you can see in this message, it will just clear the mask folder. And by doing that, the mask will be saved alongside the original picture. This is critical, so don't forget to do that. Otherwise, the mask won't be saved and you will have issues. So remember, if you want to save the mask alongside the original picture, go to the setting menu and press Reset. One thing I forgot to mention is that when you will do the git pull, EnfuseSimple will also be updated. So when I did the example, I didn't push the EnfuseSimple update to my GitHub yet. So that's why it didn't download the file. But I just did it now. So if I do a git pull, you will see it will download the EnfuseSimple plugin. So same principle, after it has been downloaded, you need to restart Darktable. And now if I enable the EnfuseSimple script, the only graphical change you will see in Darktable is if you go to Lua option, you will see you will be able to set the Enfuse binary path from there and the align image tag binary path from there. So that's it for me. If the video was helpful, just give me a like and see you next time.